Welcome to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the show to hear how you can get a copy of today's program and other helpful documents. And now it's time for Kerry McCoy to get all up in your business.
Hello, you're listening to KABF in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm Kerry McCoy, and it's time for me to get all up in your business. For the next hour, via phone and email, my guest and I will be, to the best of our ability, answering questions and giving advice to small business owners and to people who dream of owning a small business. You may be asking yourself, what makes this lady qualified to do this? And I'll tell you, experience. So in a minute, you can email or call and ask me anything. My experience is deep and wide, and my advice is free. 40 years ago, with just $400, I started Arkansas Flag and Banner. Since then, it's morphed into simply flagandbanner.com, with sales nearing 4 million. That's worth saying again. I started Arkansas Flag and Banner with just $400, and today we have sales nearing 4 million. I started by selling flags door to door, then went to telemarketing, next mail order and catalog sales, and today we rely heavily on the internet. In addition, over the last 40 years, I've navigated Flag and Banner through 2 recessions and 2 wars. When people find out I'm that woman who owns Arkansas Flag and Banner, they often say, "Oh, I've heard about you," and begin asking me business advice. I amaze even myself with all the knowledge that I've gained through the years. If you call for advice from me or from my guest, you will not be given textbook answers or theory, but you will be given candid advice from real-world experience. So be prepared for the truth. It's not always easy to hear. For instance, you may not want to hear this. In business, there are very few overnight successes. Starting and owning a business takes persistence, perseverance, and patience. When I started Arkansas Flag and Banner, I supplemented my income by waitressing, all while I peddled my flags door to door. After 9 years, did you hear me? 9 years of working a part-time job, the company began to grow and solely support me. My first hire was a bookkeeper to answer the phone and handle the clerical side of the business. My first expansion was to begin the manufacturing of custom flags, so a sewing department developed. The next decade ushered in the Desert Storm War. Flags were scarce, so a screen printing department was hurriedly built to meet consumer demands. In addition to sales and manufacturing, Flag and Banner now has a purchasing department, a shipping department, technology department, marketing department, call center, and a retail store. And I spearheaded the development of every one of these departments. My experience is deep and wide, and my advice is free. Unbelievable! Before we start taking calls, I want to introduce you to the people at the table. We have Tim Bowen, our technician, who will be taking your calls and pushing the buttons. Say hello, Tim.
Hello, Tim.
My guest today is the talented Ryk St Vincent, a.k.a. Richie St Vincent. He is a self-employed actor, musician, singer, and talented woodworker. He boasts a long career in film, theater, broadcast, and radio. When he is not acting or creating furniture in his workshop, you may find him crooning with an accompanist at local restaurants or parties. He is a regular at Bossa Nova on the first Thursday of every month in the Hillcrest neighborhood. In addition, Ryk is a lover of the Dreamland Ballroom and has been an active board member of the nonprofit Friends of Dreamland almost since its inception in 2009. This multi-talented, modern Renaissance man is going to talk with us today about the many aspects of building a business and career around your creativity. Welcome to the table, the one, the only, Ryk St Vincent.
That's crowd noise. That's crowd.
That's a good imitation. I like that.
I saw that on TV. It was a little girl, and the mom was going to play basketball, and the crowd went wild. The little girl goes, I said, how cute. Good
who
afternoon.
doesn't want to be a Renaissance man, right?
Well, you know what, Carrie? I just spoke with Joe Fox, who asked about your show down at Community Bakery. And he's asking about your show and talked to me and says, well, how did you get hooked up to do the show?
He just needs to call me.
And well, no, not him. I'm saying he asked me, how did I get hooked up with the show today? And I said, well, I know Kerry from Dreamland Ballroom, Flag and Banner, and
really before that.
Yeah, we've done some parties. Yeah, because I used to come right past your place when
I've
I
known
had
you
my
for
shop.
30 years. You probably don't remember that.
For 30 years?
I think it was 30 years ago. It was 1990 when I first met you.
19.
That's
yeah.
26 years.
Yeah. Well, that's about the time I came by your place with my little dog. I was walking my dog right past Flag and Banner.
We're going to get into that.
We'll get into all
You're
that
losing
stuff.
everybody
But,
on
well,
that.
no. I started out saying that you talked about Renaissance. And I'm always stepping back from that moniker because I'm always thinking, well, I would love to have one thing that I can do great and make all the money like you and everybody else, you know, when you just make money.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, but when you have to do all these different things to survive, you learn to do these things over years. And then next thing you know, you know 4, 5, 6 different things that you do well, but you haven't made any real money off of any one of them in particular. So
I was going to ask you about you're doing so many different things, and I think you just answered it.
Well,
it's just what you do to survive.
It's what you do to survive. When you talked about your business and you said that you needed to have production, so you set up a production and you got silk screening and things of that nature. Same thing. I was in radio for 17 years. I did probably 17, 20 radio stations in 8 different cities, 6 different states. Since 1971.
Let me just read everybody what you've done.
Well, you don't have to read it.
Oh, I have got to. So I go to Google up you, and like everybody that I've ever interviewed in here that I've known literally for decades, I read about them and go, oh my gosh, I haven't really known them. For instance, in film, you've done the old State House documentary. You've done a lot more documentaries than that.
Yeah.
You actually need to update this website. You've done The White River Kid, The Corporate Man, Height of the Sky, The Crown, Sagittarius, A Time to Kill.
Yeah, that was a big one.
That's a big one. Over the Edge, Slightly Bent, just to name a few. And then you did broadcasts for AETN, for Alta, for Fairfield Bay, for Big on the Rock. And then you already said it. I mean, listen to this paper of all the stuff you've done. And then you've been in 39 radio stations over 17 years, 8 cities, and 6 states.
Just different stuff, you know.
Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home.
And right now my hat is laying right here on the desk of KABF.
So you're back in Little Rock.
Yeah, as actually, I'm back here as a mistake, in a sense. I came through leaving Virginia, and I came through Little Rock to see some friends, and I was headed back to Los Angeles. Had been gone for maybe a year or so working on some houses in Virginia and in Atlanta for some friends. Was driving back to Los Angeles, stopped to see some friends, and somebody saw me and said, hey, man, are you back in town? I need you to take a look at my house I'm building in North Little Rock. I said, Mike, I don't have time for that. I'm on my way back to L.A. Oh, come on, man, just look at the plans. I said, well, show me the plans. And
How many years ago was that?
11.
Do you still have your house out in L.A.?
No, I don't have. Never had a house in L.A., but I keep I keep connections in L.A. and I keep a mailbox there so that I can stay in touch with all the folks in L.A.
Well, and you're going back all the time, I think. I mean, you just went back to the jazz something.
Went back for the Long Beach Jazz Festival.
People don't think of actors and musicians and singers as entrepreneurs, but really, to me, you're the epitome of an entrepreneur. You are your own product. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, you are your own, you are an ultimate entrepreneur. So let's talk about how you kind of started, because I've noticed that people that are entrepreneurs from early on. And I read somewhere that in the 5th grade, you would make hand puppets, take them to school, and entertain your classmates. So have you always been driven to that?
That's probably the beginning of it. When I was a kid, my mom worked at a hat factory in St. Louis and would bring home remnants from all of the materials from the hats.
I did not know that.
And then would sew this stuff together and make different items. And sometimes she had enough stuff that she would make little petticoats and dresses and stuff. So I was always the guy cutting out patterns, the Butterfield. I think Butterfield.
Oh, very good. Yes,
man,
exactly.
I know all this stuff. I know how to sew. I know how to do all that stuff. I own a sewing machine. I have a sewing machine.
Renaissance man again.
But $10 at a yard sale. I said, hey, I know how to use that. $10? Okay, I'll take it. Used it twice.
I was about to say, you probably never turned it
No,
on.
no. I've used it
Don't
twice.
forget to oil it. You have to oil sewing machines.
I know it. I did all that stuff. I made puppets. I had 13 puppets, marionettes and or hand puppets. I took an old Motorola box and I made a stage out of it, painted it black on the inside, took the material and made little curtains and took flashlights and duct taped them up in the corners. And
5th grade?
in the 5th grade. And I used to drag that thing 3.5 blocks to school when Miss Schwartz would ask me, can you come in Friday and bring your puppets for the kids? And I would say, yeah. And I dragged that thing 3 blocks to school, do the puppet show. We turn out all the lights, and I turn my flashlights on, and I do the puppets, and I would make up stuff. So when you're on my case about going off on a tangent,
Yeah.
it's because I've been doing that
You've
to
been going off
entertain
on
kids.
tangents.
Yes. To go off like that and just do it for the kids, and I make up stories. That's all.
People
make
don't
up
know
stories.
that before we came on, I was saying this is going to be a real testament to my skills at being a commentator because Rick will go off on a tangent forever, and I'm going to have to keep you focused.
No,
so that's why you're saying that.
You know what? Somebody said something to me not long ago, maybe in the last couple of years. They said, you're so silly, like that. And at that particular instant, my mind was at a point where I could respond to that intellectually. And I said, do you know what it takes to be silly?
I know, right?
Check this out. First of all, you have to truly hear what that person is saying.
Which no one does.
Then you have to understand it to the point that you can find the way of flipping it around or finding the joke or finding the obtuseness of it. Then you have to be able to say that, and you have to do it all in milliseconds.
Yes, they say
Okay.
comedians are really intelligent.
So when you think in terms of folks like Robin Williams, whose wife was just on TV yesterday talking about his passing, and you think about folks like that, the comedians, they are silly, but they are so intelligent
Quick.
because they can hear something, understand it, and flip it back in conversation. So thank you for the compliment.
You're welcome. So, Rick, do you dream all the time? I mean, all of us kids, I think, dream about becoming famous, becoming rock stars, becoming supermodels or actresses, but very few of us have the gumption to go and do it. In fact, I even heard somewhere that when polled, 95% of the people would rather die than have to get up and make a speech. So how did you, in the 5th grade, overcome?
I did it exactly like I'm doing it now. I didn't start singing until maybe 10 years ago.
Really?
Literally. And the only reason that I started singing was because people kept saying, do you sing?
Well,
They
your
kept
voice
asking,
is just so
do
good.
you sing? And I said, no, I really don't sing. I was doing a show in Los Angeles and in San Diego. It was a one-man show. I played a little instrument called a kalimba. It's a little bum piano, a little African instrument. Mm-hmm. And I would go out on the beach, sometimes out on Black's Beach, which is just above La Jolla Coves, which is a nude beach. So you have to wear shoes, but I would always be out there with boots on and a cap and my kalimba, walking the beach.
And that's it?
Playing, yeah. Well, nobody else had. If you had on clothes on Black's Beach, you got noticed. I'm serious. The Marines would come out there and they'd have their clothes on and they're looking at all the naked folks and walking up and down the beach, and everybody's looking at, what are those idiots doing? But if you're naked, it's like you just disappear.
So you would bring your...
I take my kalimba out there, and I would do a kalimba concert, which is poetry, improv, stories, and things like that. And occasionally, I would do some Broadway-type singing,
What motivated you to do that? What is your motivation? And did you make any money doing it? Or was it just for joy?
No, I did it for joy, but I did do some of the college circuits during the Black History Month, and played at Loyola Marymount College and LA City College and several places in Los Angeles and San Diego. I would go to the clubs, and if somebody were taking a break, I would say, hey, man, can I go up and do something for the 10 minutes that you guys are going to be on break?
What would you do?
I would go up and I would do characters. I got an Old Man Otis that I used to do, and I would do poetry. And it would just be a moment where you would just go off into something that was unusual.
I love that. Listen, people, You are listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy and my friend Ryk St Vincent.
And don't forget, old man Otis is here too.
And old man
you
Otis
didn't
is
even
here.
mention me, and I've been sitting here 5 minutes. How you doing, Kerry?
I'm fine, Mr. Otis. How old are you?
I'm I'm thinking I'm 104, I think.
I don't even know what year you were born in. So
I
what
don't-
year would that make you born?
I'm not sure.
1904.
Yeah.
No, 1914. Okay, so I'm here with Mr. Otis, Ryk St Vincent, and I'm Kerry McCoy on KABF. This is a mentoring show for small business owners. My inspiring guest today is a self-employed actor, singer, and craftsman. And if you've got questions or comments for either of us or for Mr. Otis, call us at
501-433-0088.
that's again.
501-433-0088.
Or you can email me if you're shy. You can email me questions with an S.
Questions at upyourbusiness.org.
So, Rick, how does somebody like you, who's just full of creativity, that is just they just cannot not create, how do they get started?
The way I got started in this endeavor that I'm involved with now for the last 38 years in terms of cabinetry was I was working at KOKY.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember KOK?
That's still
Well,
around.
it's
The
still
black
around.
dot on
But
your dial. I
but
love that station.
They were at the Prospect Building back in '83 when I came here from Jackson, Mississippi, doing
Really?
radio. Actually, I was in Jackson, Mississippi, working the shift that Paul Todd was working before I got there, and Paul was here.
So you were a radio disc jockey.
Radio disc jockey, came here with Dave, and I was doing morning drive, and he was doing evening drive. And then things got murky at the radio station, and they started letting folks go. So before they came to me with a pink slip, I just quit. And they told me, well, you can't quit. I said, yes, I can.
Why were they letting people go?
They were letting people go because at that time they were trying to reorganize the station.
Radio
FM and
stations
AM.
always struggle.
Yeah. But I quit that job in October and ran into a guy whose father had a furniture manufacturing plant down here on the base of Cantrell, Joe Blankenship. And he says, hey, man, I'm going to stop by and look and see if there's any transients in our place, because transients would break in there and sleep. So we stopped in, and I saw all this lumber, and I had just quit the job. And he says, I said to him, hey, man, what are you going to do with all this lumber? He says, most of it's just going to rot away. We don't do anything with it. I said, well, can I have some? He said, yeah. I took a truck, went down there and filled that truck up and took it back out to Greenwood Forest Apartments out here on Greenwood Mountain
Green Mountain Drive.
Took that lumber in there, called some folks up in Memphis, told them that I could build a cabinet that they were asking about a couple of months ahead of that. And they said, yeah, sure. Did a cabinet for a lady there, $1,200, paid my rent, and that was the beginning. Next thing you know.
How old were you?
That was in '83, so I would have been 33.
So I hear this all the time. It was a necessity, and you saw an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me that most business entrepreneurs like yourself just see opportunities and take advantage of them.
But that's typical of us if we go back to our hunter-gatherer mentality. And we've gotten away from that. We've gotten away from that as human beings. We've gotten away from that. And this is part of our problem, I think. But I don't want to get philosophical. I'm just thinking that we have always been people who were capable of living on this planet. And we didn't need Walmart. And we didn't need the internet. We didn't need a lot of things that we have now. We didn't need. And we've lost that.
Yeah.
We've lost that.
You're a scrapper. There's no doubt, right? Even though you, no pun intended, because you picked up scraps and made, but you are a scrapper. You see opportunities everywhere, I think. Did you even know you could do woodwork?
I knew that I used to tinker with all kind of stuff when I was about 7.
I mean, you can sew, you can sing, you can disc jockey. Now you're doing woodwork.
Well, I've done all kind of. I can weld, do a little bit of glass work. I would love to learn how to blow glass, and make lamps and stuff. Who's the guy that does the lamps? The Soji's. What is it? He does the beautiful chandeliers.
Oh, yeah. I went to his exhibit at
Yeah.
the Art Center.
Yeah,
Real famous.
love that
It starts
stuff.
with a P, I think. Oh,
I
gosh, I
love
hate
that
it when I
stuff.
can't remember.
I love, and I can't remember now anyway because of my age.
It's gone.
Yeah.
But that would be wonderful. There's a local artist here that also mimics his style a little bit. But so you did do a little bit of work with wood before, so you kind of knew.
I made
you
stuff.
recognized it was nice wood,
Yeah.
because you have a creative eye, and you said, "This is beautiful wood."
I made, look, when I was a teenager, I'm thinking around 14, I made a go-kart out of a kitchen chair and a Briggs & Stratton trim motor that they would use to trim the lawns.
What?
Yeah. And I put that thing on a chassis. My neighbor, Mr. Brown, who I love dearly, in any life that we ever show up in, Mr. Brown, find me. And
In your next life, I
yeah.
won't be with next door neighbors with Mr. Brown again.
So I made this little go-kart. Oh, actually, it was just a chair with 3 wheels. And I got on that thing, and a friend of mine in his car drove on the side of me. And we got that thing up to 30 miles an hour. Now, imagine going down a street at 30 miles
In
an
a
hour.
kitchen chair with a lawnmower.
On a kitchen chair.
With a lawnmower motor.
Foolishness is a good word to bring into this conversation right now.
Youthful.
Yeah. And I took that thing, and for many years since I was a kid, I took that thing and I rebuilt that 7 times. And in 78, I literally had a business in San Diego called Scooter Ads, and anybody who's lived in San Diego in 78 and 80 will know of Scooter Ads, because I had taken that same fork for the front wheel. That never changed, but everything else evolved around it, and I wound up with a 780-pound vehicle that I would drive all around San Diego, Chula Vista.
What does
El
that have to do with
Cajon.
Scooterville?
It was called Scooter Ads. It was an advertising. So when you talked about
God.
turning something into something, the people that I had working on that, Nelson Bashir at that time was the national go-kart champion. Robert Kidder was the upholsterer at the Hotel Del Coronado. And John, I got to call his name, he was Jacques Cousteau's underwater welder, one of Jacques Cousteau's underwater welder, who has a small shop over near Market in San Diego where he makes stainless steel railing for yachts.
And they were all working on your what'd you call it?
On this little scooter ad thing.
Scooter
And everybody that saw it thought it was a Cushman. They thought it was a Cushman, and they would come up and they say, "Where did you get that from?" And I said, "Well, I built it,"
Now,
and
that's
nobody
not-
believed it.
So you built this thing and you went to them and said, "Hey, you want me to ride around and sell ads for you?"
I did
See,
ads.
there's more creative entrepreneurship.
I
There's
did
money
ads.
everywhere if
Yeah.
you're creative enough.
I did ads with Ted Giannolis, the San Diego Chicken. I did ads with the Charger games. I did ads for the San Diego Ballet, ads for SeaWorld. Ray Kroc was there once with Orville Redenbacher. We did some ads for some stuff that they were doing. And I drove this thing all around San Diego. So if anybody were in San Diego during that time, they
knew
had
you.
they had to have seen it.
Should
if
we
they
say
didn't
you're
know
lucky
me.
to be alive?
Maybe twice. There was 2 times it turned over. I was going too fast.
How fast would it go?
It would go 40 miles an hour, and it would drive 3 days on
I have
2
one
gallons
word
of
for
gas.
you. Cool cat. You are a cool cat.
I've done enough things that I can hang out with cats, so maybe they think I'm cool.
You are, I mean, Renaissance man isn't even a big enough word for you. So I'm trying to piece together your colorful life. You graduated from high school. Did you go to college?
I actually, and I'm
So you
correcting
graduated
people.
from high school, a puppeteer.
No, I never graduated from high school.
Oh,
Let me tell you the
that
quick,
happens all the time.
quick story. I'm in high school. A guy in high school who had hit me in the jaw, broke my jaw over a girl who I wound up marrying, my first wife there. This guy fractured my jaw.
But you got the girl.
No, I literally built a zip gun. You're not from the neighborhood who would know what that means.
No, I have no idea what that means. It's got
I built a zip gun that looked like back in that day, it would look like a rainbow handkerchief because I covered it with a rainbow handkerchief. You couldn't tell.
a concealed weapon.
It was a concealed weapon, yeah. And I gave it to a guy named Nathaniel. But they put me out of high school twice because I was working nights. I was married, working nights. And
In
coming
high school?
Yeah.
You have lived a million lives. What were you
And-
doing working nights?
I was working nights because I was married and had a child.
What was your? Oh my gosh! What were you doing at night? Singing?
No, I was working at General Electric Apparatus.
On an assembly line?
No, it was a repair place for field generators and large synchronous motors and all that kind of stuff.
So you have almost an engineering background. Engineering is very creative.
Well, I see myself as somewhat of a bootleg engineer. I didn't go to school for it.
Did you ever get your degree?
Out. No, I never.
You don't
wanted
need it.
I never wanted the degree.
No, you don't need it.
I didn't never. Miss Hudson, who I knew from the 6th grade.
You're
was
an
my 6th grade.
inspiration to a lot of people listening right now.
Miss Hudson said this to me, and I never forgot it. She didn't say it to me. She said it to the class in 6th grade. She says, "I'm going to save those who want to be saved." And my ears perked up. I'm telling you, they opened up, and I thought, wow, I want to be saved, because the neighborhood that I grew up in, I found dead body once.
Was it in Little Rock?
No, in St. Louis.
Oh.
I've seen people killed literally in front of me. Saw a guy get shot off the back of a car. Arguing with somebody.
It still upsets you. I can see it in your eyes.
Well, what upsets me is that nothing's really changed over these years. And I'm 66 years old now, and not a whole lot has changed. We placate ourselves believing that we've moved forward, but we still haven't shaken the baggage that we carry, a lot of us.
So she said you wanted to be saved.
She said, yeah. She says, I'm
Anybody
going to
wants to
save
be
those who
saved?
wants to be saved.
There you go.
And so my hand went up. And from that day forward, I never thought about grades. I thought about influencing. In other
What
words,
grade was that?
That was in the 6th grade.
Okay.
So I never thought about grades as far as getting an A or getting a B or anything like that. I said, I want to know what I know. So she would always ask me, she says, well, how did you come to that conclusion? I say, well, this, that, and this, the other. And she says, okay, I understand. Even though you didn't do it right, you were thinking. And that's more than most of these people in this class.
So her equation to being saved is to be a critical thinker.
To think about what's going on, to pay attention.
You are absolutely a critical thinker.
Yeah.
Some people only think one step. Some people think 2 or 3 steps down the line. You built that cart, then you thought who could use that cart. Like you just said at the very beginning of the show, you learn to listen, and you learn to react to listening. And you see needs, and you learn to react to needs.
Well, my son tells
You're
me,
so
he says, my son says, Dad, you do too much for people. And
That's
I said,
impossible.
Then that's like telling a rabbit not to hop, isn't it?
Well, I don't think there's a religion in the world that doesn't say you should. The true happiness comes from serving others. So you're going to have to teach your son that, I guess. So you didn't graduate from high school.
No, but I've gone to business colleges and city
That's what I was
colleges
going
and
to
all
say.
that
I
kind
saw
of
that. Yeah. You did a lot of VOTEC kind of schoolwork.
Well, here's the deal about education, and this is what we miss. Education should be and should always be giving people the ability to solve problems, not how much you can read or how many books you've amassed in your library or how quick you can do a formula in math, but can you solve a problem? And I've got problems right now that I'm trying to solve, so don't think that I'm over the hump. But education is about thinking about your environment, what's happening, and then solving that problem. And in order to do that, you've got to be able to get along with people. Like I always say, I believe everybody is absolutely right about what they believe. Now my job is, can I get along with them?
Wow.
That's a whole nother way of looking at it.
It certainly is. I love that. I'm going to have to write that down. That's a tweetable moment, a tweetable comment. You're listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy on KABF. This is a mentoring show for small business owners or for those who dream of owning a small business. My inspiring guest today is self-employed Ryk St Vincent. He's an actor, singer, puppeteer, and craftsman. And if you've got questions for either of us or for Mr. Otis, 104 years old, call in and we'll answer your questions. And the number to call is?
501-433-0088.
Did you say, would you say that again, son?
501.
Let me write that. 501
433
433
0088.
That's a zero. That's a number. Okay, 00888.
That's correct.
I appreciate you, son. Thank you.
Or you can email questions to
questions@upyourbusiness.org.
If you want to hire Rick to sing also, I have to tell everybody, we haven't even gotten to your singing career, which is fabulous. I was with you last night, and you were singing at Bossa Nova.
At Bossa
and you got
Nova.
another gig while I was down there.
I got a gig because of you.
Oh, good.
Because of you. Kerry showed up. I'm sitting there looking at the lady who's about to discern whether or not we're going to get the gig or not. She shows up, gives me a hug and a slobbery kiss.
Ow.
Ow, all my neck just got all wet. And
He's so full of it.
but at any rate, in that moment, she says, yeah, we're going to do it. Chris and I will be at Dizzy's.
Nice
Unbelievable.
Nice guy.
Unbelievable. And you talk about somebody cool. Now, I take my cool lessons from Chris.
So I told Chris that we were auctioning off you and him at the Dancing into Dreamland event on November the 18th.
That's November the 18th, where
And he
the
didn't say
folks-
okay.
Well, yeah, I'll have to work that out with him because, Chris is much more professional than I.
Well, I'm auctioning you two gentlemen off together for a party to benefit the Dreamland Ballroom. We're trying to get an elevator. We don't even need to talk about that yet. This show is flying by. I knew it would. We've only got 20 minutes left, and I just have
Okay,
so
well,
much
go
to
for
talk
it.
to you about.
Go for
So I'd love to talk about the Dreamland Ballroom, but I think people want to know about you, the man, and how you got into singing and how do other people get into singing.
Well,
Singing is like how the soul talks to you. It's like the language of the soul to me.
I saw something that was reading earlier today, and they talked about talking. And it said singing is just the next step just above talking, where the elongated vowels and elongated end of the words get stretched out, And singing, for me, you ever saw the little thing that I put on the bottom of my stuff? It says, I sing songs with the words that matter. Yeah.
You do. Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. Hey, I just added the song.
You're a crooner.
I just added that song called Riverman. I sang last night.
Was that the song at the very end? That last song was really good. What's your
Was-
favory song to sing? Which
right
song?
Right now, Riverman. Right now.
Because it's your brand new and you're in love with
Yeah,
it.
I'm in love with that song.
Can you sing
right
any
now.
of it? Can you even get the tune in your head?
Betty came by on her way. Said she had a word to say about things today and fallen leaves. Said she hadn't heard the news, hadn't had a time to choose a way to lose, but she believed. Gonna see the riverman, gonna tell him all I can about the plan for lilac time. If he tells me all he knows about the way his river flows and all-night shows in summertime.
Beautiful.
And it's about a woman who's just not all there upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
But we know people like this in our lives, and they're not all the knives are not in the drawer, all the silverware is not shined, all the bulbs aren't turning, and you know what I'm saying? But we know these people, and we have an endearing compassion for them.
Yep.
And that's what this song is about, this woman named Betty.
I think you live next door to Ophitas. What's his name? Who do you live next door to? I bet you're afraid. I hope he's not listening. He's going to get mad at me.
I'm glad you mispronounced his name because I'm not going to say it.
I like him a lot, though.
I like him. I love this
I love
cat.
him.
It's my buddy.
I know he is.
Yeah.
That was really lovely. There are so many people that sing beautiful in the world, but they're shy about sharing it. One of the things I really like about you is that you will belt out a song at the drop of a hat, and
That's to get over fear.
that is
That-
the
that's all
language of
that
the
is.
soul too. And I really think it's a gift. Anytime, everybody listening can relate to this, but anytime that all of us go through hard times, and every time you're in a dark place and you're soul searching, you can hear a song on the radio, and that song will speak to someplace in you that you can't
Yeah.
describe. There's no words for it.
There's no words for it, but hopefully the words in the song matter, and that's what tells you go ahead and move on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
move
when
on
you're
it.
singing for
Dizzy's?
is it an early night?
I've got to call and find out exactly what the time's going to be, but I would imagine if you got there at 7-ish, it's going to be either just as we start or right in the middle of it. So 7-ish would be a good time to show up.
Well, and what I love about your music is it's word heavy. I love that about you. You does have great lyrics, but you can also, it's easy listening, so you can
have conversation.
Yes.
Here's the thing. When I'm there or when I'm anywhere singing, I'm always, to me, my thing is I am the ocean that supports the boat that has the party that you are with.
Whoa, there's another tweetable moment. I am the ocean that has
that
the
supports
boat.
the boat that has the party that you are with. You're with your party on the boat. I'm just the ocean trying to keep you afloat, trying to give you some,
And
you
you're
know what I
done.
mean? Just take it easy.
So out of all the things you do, which one makes you the most money?
Which
one supports you? The cabinetry?
The cabinetry. I did Mosaic Templars. I did all the cabinetry over there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's a year and a half worth of work. And most people don't even know that I did that. But if you
No.
go in there and you touch any one of the 53 different doors and windows and those flipping doors, those rotating doors, and the reception and all of the retail area and the kitchen and the classroom and the trim and the base and
lots.
a lot of wood.
So I know.
I'd like to meet the trees that wood came from and say I'm sorry.
Oh. So you like to work alone also.
It's therapeutic.
Well, I know that we've talked about this
Yeah.
because you have hired people before and you don't like the way they
Oh,
do stuff.
this goes back to education. People, and you get this too with your job and what you do, and everybody does. I talked to Joe this morning about the same thing.
Joe Fox at Community Bakery. Mm-hmm.
People come to work for me, and I say, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to cut this at this length. We need to do this to it. We need to process it in this way. Then they say, why? And it says, because that's what needs to be done in order that it turn out like this drawing with these measurements and this finish on it. Then they say, well, I should be able to do it that way or this way. I said, look, if you go to work at McDonald's where they sell hamburgers for 99 cents, they're going to put you in a situation where you have to learn how to do that hamburger their way. Here's where you put the napkin. This is how you fold the aluminum foil wrapper around it.
This is where the pickle goes. This is how much ketchup. This is how much mustard.
I don't care where you go to work. If you go to work for somebody,
follow instructions.
Somebody has something to tell you about their work. And once I consummate a contract with an individual or company, then I am at that instant I'm working for that contract.
Correct.
I'm a worker just like you're a worker, and I've got to do it a certain way because my name is on it and my reputation is on it. So I can't let it go out of the shop looking any kind of way. I have yet to have any customer that I know of who is dissatisfied or unpleased with my work.
It's beautiful.
Okay? So I am not going to impugn myself with turning out shoddy work. It doesn't make sense. If you don't have money and all you have is your reputation, then you have to protect that. So all of my workers,
So you don't feel like people can live up to your standards that work for you?
No, they say I'm picky and I'm too much of this or too much of that. But it's like, look, this is my name on this. I'm saying I've got to turn out something that somebody will go, okay, I like that.
What's the name of your woodworking company?
It's St. Vincent Concepts with a K.
So if somebody wants you to do some cabinetry work, I can definitely put a link, and probably already have, on UpInYourBusiness.org. But I can also, and it's also on Flag and Banner, so they can find you. But if they wanted to find you to contract you to do something, how would they do it?
Well, they can call my, well, I'm not going to give up a number because that's just going to inundate me with phone calls.
You hope it does. You hope it does.
Go through Kerry, because I've taken my website off. I'm trying to find a better website. I used to have a website.
You're all over the website, but I don't know that your phone number or how to contact you is. But there is a wealth of information about you because you've done so much.
I'm talking to a lady in France right now, Isabelle Izy. I'm talking to her right now about doing my website because she just did hers, and I know her from here. One of her people is in jail here, incarcerated here on death row.
One of her people?
One of
relatives?
don't want to get into too
Okay.
deep with it.
Anyway.
But at any rate, he's incarcerated here down at Varner, and I had sang for his fundraisers a couple of times, and she's an artist also, so I sang for her and for him, and I'm going to try to see if I can get her to do my website with just a different, fresh mindset.
Let me tell you about websites.
Yeah.
You have got a legacy. You don't realize it, but you have a long amount of history connected to your website. If you bring it down and change your URL, your names that are in your, that are up there, your address, you are going to lose so much organic.
Oh, by the
you
connection.
can change the page, what it looks like,
Well,
but
yeah.
you cannot change
the URL.
none of that.
Okay.
None of those landing pages URLs. I almost bankrupted Arkansas Flag and Banner by doing that in 2012. Did a brand new website. Person I had doing it didn't do a good job, and it.
Were you able to retrieve all of that by way of redirecting it to the new?
You can redirect it. Google knows you're going to redirect it. It's not optimum, but it is absolutely the best thing. And don't redirect them to your front landing page. If this page is your page that's about how to contact you, then make sure you redirect the how to contact you page to the new how to contact you page.
Okay.
So be very page specific.
I got
Don't
you.
just,
I got
my
you.
guy just took every page I have, which was like, I have 20,000 products. I have 20, I don't even know how many pages are on my website. And he just directed them all to the home page.
Okay.
And that will bankrupt you. You will lose everything. So make
Well,
sure
I'm learning something today.
I hope all my listeners are learning something today.
I'm glad I
Building
met
a new
you.
website you have to do because they keep changing technology, and you just have to keep doing it. And all the websites have now got to become mobile friendly, and there's really not a patch for that. You really do end up having to make a new website. But you've got to be very, very careful and sensitive to all the history that you have attached to that old website. And make sure you talk to the right people. Don't just turn it off and start
It's
a new
not
one.
a willy-nilly.
How long have you had that website?
Well, the one that I'm speaking of, I had it up for maybe 2 or 3 years, but I haven't had it up for the last 2 or 3 years.
Why would you take it down?
I took it down because it was too cumbersome, and it was long in terms of.
Does that matter? Isn't it better to have something than nothing?
It is better to have something than
This
nothing.
is why you can't get rich, Rick. This is what you and I argue about all the time. You're so creative. If it's not perfect, we're not going to put it up. I'm like, no, just look. He's shaking his head.
What I need to do is I need to run into somebody with some disposable money. Somebody
don't
who
we
can-
all?
Yeah, somebody who can say, look, guy, you show me something in the next 6 months, and I'm going to put some money up and get you another 6 months. You show
need
me
a
something
patron.
then. I need, yeah.
Like Mozart had a patron.
Yeah, but maybe I just need a better push-up bra. You know, where I can get some of those folks out
You're
there.
about to be due for a bra.
You know?
All right. You're listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy on KABF. This is a mentoring show for small business owners or for those who dream of owning a small business. My inspiring guest today is self-employed Ryk St Vincent. He's an actor, singer, and a craftsman. If you've got questions or comments for either of us, call
501-433-0088.
again.
That number is 501-433-0088.
There are so many people in the world that dream about being like you. And I've known you forever. And I know that you're always scrapping and...
And I keep saying the same thing. David Hill, who worked for the VA in San Diego, David Hill, back in 79 or so when I was in San Diego, said, man, I wish I could do what you're doing. I said, David, I wish I could do what you're doing. You have a job, you pay your bills, you have a wife and 2 kids, and you drive a Carmen Ghia. And I just thought he was cool. And he was looking at me saying, no, you're cool. And
I'm
thinking,
grass is always greener on the other side. I think we have a caller. Hello. You're listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy and my guest, Ryk St Vincent. What's your question today?
Well, first I want to say you are definitely up in his business.
Thanks.
Up in his business. I want to give a shout out to my man, Ryk St Vincent.
I know that voice.
The crooner all over the town. He knows how to scat. He knows how to do it. He does great cabinetry work. So I wanted to make sure I gave a shout out since I was listening. And also thank you for having him on your show.
You're welcome.
I know
He
this
is
voice. I
wrinkling
know
his
that
forehead
voice. Yeah, I'm
trying to
wrinkling my-
figure it out.
This is Mr. Mood, the smooth voice of the
Ah!
He
You
does have
sound a
smooth
little
voice.
different when you're on that side of the microphone, Marquis.
He's got a smooth voice, too. Thanks for calling, Smooth.
Oh, my pleasure. Y'all have a
Hey,
great
man.
day.
Much love.
So you came back to Little Rock 11 years ago.
To visit.
So you told me the one that makes you the most money is the woodworking.
Yeah, it's the
but which one
woodworking.
do you love the most?
I love the woodworking.
Because you even
and
draw.
I have to draw in order to do the woodworking. And I tell you, theater is so consuming, but theater allows me to do a little bit of everything. I was a set designer in San Diego at the Educational Cultural Complex, and I was the set designer during the time that James Avery, who was the father on The Fresh Prince, was there.
Yeah.
So James Avery and Asa Briggs and several other folks that have gone on to do other things, we were all hanging out together. They came to me once after a set and said, look, we're getting ready to do this August Wilson play, and we need somebody to do this character. And I said, okay, I'll do it, because it was a very small role. Did that, and then that became a repetitive thing. Now, do another character, do this character, be in this play. I was like, well, look, I can't do the sets and do that at the same time. But what I realized after a while was that as in theater, I can do woodworking, I can sing, I can do acting.
You haven't done
I
much
can
theater
do
when I
all
look
that.
at your thing, or either your website's not up
Well,
to
I
date.
have to get away from theater because it will suck up your time.
I don't know how those people do that every night.
Yeah, it will just suck up your time. But I love theater. I did Fences here twice, 2 runs here for Fences. And I've written 2 plays. I've got a play right now that I've written 3 years ago.
You just finished a documentary about the most interesting guy I watched. I never knew
Alfonso
that guy.
Trent.
I never
Yeah.
even knew that guy existed.
Well, Alfonso Trent was a orchestra leader, and during the time that he was on the planet, he grew up in the time that all these other guys grew up. So Count Basie, Benny Goodman, Duke Ellington, all these guys, Jimmy Lunsford, all these cats were all in different areas of the country during this time, and Alfonso Trent was in the Mid-South, being one of the territory bands down here in the Mid-South. But he was phenomenal, and people stole his music, they stole his licks. There was a group in Memphis called TNT, which stood for Trent Number 2.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Wow.
and they were playing all of his music, but they were playing it as a combo group in Tennessee. I play John Felding, who is the singer for Alfonso Trent, and the story starts in 1924, actually right here in Little Rock over at Shorter College, where he had formed a band with some guys and started their band, then left here and went to
Dallas. Yeah, I saw that.
Left Dallas and just sprung out in all over the United States. But that's a documentary that I am so proud of right now.
It is a one-man show. If anybody gets to see it, it is just you talking. And, Rick, you kill it.
It's it's actually about 22 pages of script.
How did you learn all that?
I
that's
took
what
a year. I took a year to learn. It was 17 pages by the time I got through. I literally learned verbatim.
Did you get paid for doing it, or was it a labor of love?
It was a labor of love, but I did get paid. But the pay didn't come close
Didn't pay
to the
for
labor
a year.
of love.
A year's worth of work. And is it ever going to be released?
Well, it's out on DVD. It's on DVD right
But
now.
who could ever find it? I mean,
Well,
if you hadn't given it to
if
me,
you
I
look
wouldn't
up,
know
If you look
about
up
it.
Alfonso Trent, I'm not sure what the production company is going to do right now.
Uh-huh.
I did send a couple of copies to some friends who work at the Lincoln Center. I know people who know Bradford Marsalis and Wynton Marsalis right here in Little Rock because they all grew up together and played together in New Orleans. And so there are people right here in Little Rock that know the Marsalises. And so I've got a couple of copies out here and there.
I don't
for
know
people
how.
to
I
look.
don't understand this business.
Uh,
Will you
it-
get
I-
royalties if it goes out?
No.
So you're done.
It's a
So
buyout,
you're
yeah.
just done.
Yeah.
Well, I just
That's
hate
a
that. You
buyout.
did such a good job. I thought AETN needs to be telling this story, at least in Arkansas. This is a
Well, I'm
really
trying to
special
get it
guy.
to AET, and earlier, before we got on here with Cal's Ron Robinson, Big John
Mm-hmm.
Miller, I'm going to talk to him about presenting it over there, but I want to write the show for it, not just show the documentary. I want to write a show around it and have it presented over there.
What are you most proud of? Of all the stuff you've done, just 5 lives in one.
Meeting you.
Of course. But seriously, all this stuff.
What's wrong? Why would that be a joke? I'm serious.
Because it is,
I don't
and you know it is.
I don't know many people who have done what you've done.
Oh.
I'm serious. Somebody who would say, okay, I'm going to start in zero, and then I'm going to take and do something with it.
You're one just like me. Just these, every entrepreneur that I seem to interview is just like us. They're just crazy ambitious. They see an opportunity, and they just go with it. Thank you, Rick. That's very sweet. Well, You've got a new show coming up. You're working on something right now. What are you working on?
I'm working on a movie. I go film for one day, Monday, with this movie called Antiquities.
Antiques?
No, it's called Antiquities because the character that is the star of the movie gets a job at an antique shop. His father passes away. He goes back to try to find out something about his father. He winds up.
Did you audition for it?
Yeah, I went through the audition process for it.
If someone's a budding actor, where do you go to audition? You read the paper, or how do you find out about auditions?
Well, I've got people who call me. I've got an agent over here
you
at
go
the
to
agency.
Sarah Tackett?
Sarah Tackett at the agency.
That's somebody I need to have on, Sarah Tackett.
Yeah, get her on here, or Yancey, or either one. Get them both over here. But I'll be doing that Monday. I'm playing Coach McGee.
Are you a mean coach or a nice coach?
I'm a nice coach. What you see all this extra hair on my face?
I know you're in costume.
I'm letting my hair kind of grow because I got to look sort of gruff.
You look scruffy.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. That.
Well, you're
look.
there.
I don't have flies around me, so don't think I'm that scruffy, okay? But I'm a little scruffed up.
Listen, I met you 30 years ago. You still are. You're so handsome, so well-spoken, as everybody has learned, so talented. You had a handsome dog, too, back then.
Oh, yeah, India. I had that dog for 11 years.
We could talk for 30 more minutes. I'm serious. We really could. But, Rick, you're on the board of Dancing into Dreamland. It's November the 18th. If anybody wants to see either of us, they can come out at a Dancing into Dreamland. It's the only fundraiser you and I have for Dreamland to raise money for an elevator.
And if they don't want to see either of us, they can come and be amongst about 200 or 300 people who are all also cool.
They are cool. It's a really great group of people.
Yeah.
And it's not late night, which is what I like about it so much, too. People are always saying, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, we're trying to get an elevator because event centers just don't make any money. And it's a really great place.
Well, it's got spirit.
Oh, it does.
So many people have gone through that place, and it's like it's a special place in the forest, you know?
Mm-hmm. It has
where you
soul.
could go and say, wow, this is neat.
I know it.
Yeah,
so how do people get in touch with you? Just go to upyourbusiness.org and
for right now,
and
because
find me, and I'll have a link to you.
I'm working on websites, and I'm working on a lot of other stuff. People keep saying I need to get a Little Rock phone number, but I've had this number for
so this is what
a
you
long
get.
time. This is what I get?
Mm-hmm. It's a cigar. Well, and you know what you get that for? For birthing so many businesses.
Well, you know what I did with I had a cigar.
Don't say. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, because this is Little Rock, isn't it? Yeah. Hey. All right.
You need to back up, son. Don't step on my property. You can go down the road if you want to. No.
Okay.
So anyway, there's your cigar.
Thank
Smoke
you,
it and think about what a success you've been and all the businesses you've birthed.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you to the Renaissance man, Ryk St Vincent. This cigar that I just gave him came from the Humidor Room at Colonial Wine and Spirits on Markham Street in Little Rock, Arkansas. My guest next week will be a father-son duo. I could have spoken with each of them individually, for they're both entrepreneurs extraordinaire on their own right, but I thought it might be fun to analyze personalities of entrepreneurs within a family. Is it nature or nurture? Father Eric Herget started a successful insurance company, Hub International, that he recently sold and still advises. That will be fun to hear about his exit strategy. And his son Ryan Herget started Chef Shuttle, which we have all heard of and used. I look forward to hearing how this 20-something not only came up with the idea of Chef Shuttle, but had the ambition and the guts to execute his idea. This is where the rubber meets the pavements for all of us big dreamers. To see a list of upcoming guests, you can visit upyourbusiness.org. You can also get in touch with Rick that way. But you can go there and see our schedule of guests for November and December. If you have a great entrepreneurial story you would like to share, I would love to hear from you. Send a brief bio and your contact info to questions@upyourbusiness.org, and someone will be in touch. And finally, to our listeners, thank you for spending time with me and my guest, Ryk St Vincent. If you think this program has been about you, you're right, but it's also been about me. Thank you for letting me fulfill my destiny. My hope today is that you've learned or heard something that's been inspiring or enlightening, and that it, whatever it is, will help you up your business, your independence, or your life. I'm Kerry McCoy, and I'll see you next Friday at 2 p.m. on KABF Radio in Little Rock, Arkansas. Until then, be brave and keep it up.
If you would like to hear today's program again or download a free copy, go to upyourbusiness.org. All our live shows are available online within 48 hours. Find this and other helpful resources to help you live the American dream.